right. So let's do this, guys. For the Wicked Smart listeners, I think it's super important. We go through our day-to-day stuff and we don't like announce what we did. And now Brian O'Neill has been coaching high six with Nick and I for how long, Brian? How long have we been tag teaming this?
Oh, I feel like it's close to a year that we've been doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming up on the spring event, so it's got to be close to that. So what does that mean for the Wicked Smart listener? Let me say it, and then I want you and Nick to comment, because you both like wholeheartedly just dive in and help high six no matter what it takes. So let me just preface this, because it might be new Wicked Smart listeners. One issue is every level of coaching has at least one coach. Okay, so that is a fact. But what people don't know in the public is, and when I say one level, again, I'm assuming people know, starter, associate, 90-day jump starters in group coaching, immersion associate, and now then we have high six. What people don't know is, one, all of our coaches, even though they're assigned to a level, all work as a team and all share by way of a pool. So if Brian has a high six person and I'm not available and he's not available and it's not a buyer question for Nick and they call Mike McCready's, Mike's going to dive in and help him. So putting that aside, it's the only level that has this level of coaching, this hands-on. So I don't know. I'd want you guys, Brian, maybe you first, and then Nick can comment about what you see about that or your thoughts on that level of coaching.
I mean, for sure, the coaches are all helping each other. We help all the students because, sometimes we're gone or we're doing other things. And that's what I love about the community is, there is no, hey, I don't work for that group, or that's not my job. I had a lot of that in the W2 world. That doesn't happen here ever, right? Like we all step up. The high six group, it's such a high level group of individuals. They're doing a lot. There's a lot of activity, and you really need to have the multiple people. I mean, you and I, are tag team in the high six on a daily basis. There's just a lot of activity. I mean, they're really getting after it. They want to leave their W2. Some have left. We got some people coming up that are leaving, and that's really what we're trying to help them with, is to make sure that they're doing deals and growth, personal growth. I mean, we were on a mastermind the other day, as we mentioned before we hit record, where we didn't even talk about deals at all. It was all personal stuff. And yeah.
Nick, what are your thoughts? And I'm sure Brian will piggyback. Well, what are your thoughts on just the level?
Yeah, sure. The level of commitment, almost that the people that I'm working with, and the people that Brian and I are both working with, it's almost like there's that commitment that they're not doubting of, oh, okay, I'm dipping my toe in the water. Is this really going to work, kind of thing? Right. So as a result, they listen to 100% of what we say, not just pick and choose like a buffet line. And that's why they're seeing success. Especially with all the people that get to the point that they already have takens. Then when I'm at the point of jumping on the phone with them, it's almost like they can smell a deal. They're so close to a deal that it's actually, frankly, very exciting for them.
All right, so you just made me think of something, like both your opinions on this, but Brian, I think this came up in the high six mastermind the other day, where we brought on our equity partner, Peter Taunton. I mean, it was just a great experience for everybody. But what I said at the beginning, I'm pretty sure I said at the beginning, was similar to what Nick said. People don't join high six or the new level that's very invite only and very sort of high level, the chairmans. They don't join that and invest in themselves that much and do what Nick said, dip their toe in. They just don't. And they don't say, if I don't get a deal in 90 days, I'm going to be quitting or I'm going to try. The vocabulary doesn't exist. Everything's stripped away. And what I said in the high six mastermind is, when you have that attitude and something doesn't work, you just rip it apart and dig in and ask someone and seek advice. And it may not be our coaches, but it might be someone Brian or I or Nick know, and we direct them like whatever it takes attitude. So I don't know if you guys have comments on that, but I know it came up the other day, and there's a big difference in commitment level to what Nick said.
There is completely. I'm happy to comment here, because I remember, it's been several years since I came in as high six, and I didn't just wake up, roll out of bed one day and say, yeah, I'm gonna join this real estate mastermind and learn about creative financing. That sounds cool. I mean, I basically
I thought that's what you did, and that's why you joined us.
Well, now this is all getting revealed now. Finally, I'm telling you, but I treated this really as the biggest investment that I'd ever made, bigger than any house that I had purchased or any car, whatever. Right, this is the biggest investment I ever going to make, and the way that I evaluated this entire situation. I mean, you and I spoke multiple times before I came on. I consumed all the information. I just roll out of bed and say yes. I mean, I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and you should approach any investment this way, especially coaching if you're going to join a mastermind or the high six group. And I said to myself, okay, this is the way I'm going to get out of my W-2. Like, I've identified that. And this family, you, Nick, Zach, these guys are going to be able to teach me the skills that I need and develop the business to get out of my W-2. Like that was a foregone conclusion. Then I just had the discussion with myself, and I said, if I do what's necessary, if I do my part, listen to you guys, I'm going to get out of the job. I'm going to be able to get out of the job. I'm going to be able to build the business. I had no timeline in terms of I have to get my first deal after this day. I ended up getting it relatively quickly, but I had no timeline. Once I came to that decision, like this is my exit. This is my way out of the W-2. These are the people that are going to help me. This is the business. This is the system. And then I'm going to do my part. It's just a foregone conclusion. It was an easy decision after that point, but I had to go through that versus, well, this sounds kind of cool. I'll try it out. It's a different animal when you look at it
Entirely.
that way, I think.
Entirely. Nick, any comments? You look like you had a comment before I wrote down something I want to add to Brian's.
Yeah, I do have a comment. I have a few things off the top of my tongue that I was going to say, but give me just because I'm not sure I want to say that. So give me the line of questioning again.
Well, it's more along the lines of what you said. So I was piggybacking you. So if you don't have any addition, that was when they come in, the commitment level is not, I'll try it, like Brian said, or I got to get a deal. It's not, it's like I just bought $1 million franchise. We don't cost that much. I wish we did, but it's like I bought $1 million franchise and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it work because there is no retreating. That's the attitude. And if you have anything else to add to that, that's all.
Yeah, I actually have a few things. So this isn't like as far as like talking about high six or talking about coaching levels with us, this isn't something that this is what we say you should do when you're joining our community. We practice what we preach. Because, and I always, when I say this to people, they're always kind of like, oh, okay, good. That shows me proof of concept that you're doing what you teach. I started working with a coach originally.
I was going to ask you to tell us.
The introductory, it was $25,000. Then during that session, that 6-week intensive session where I was commuting to New York City, which is 3 or 4 hours away, I was pitched on working with her one-on-one. That's $75,000. And I said, absolutely. And that was in October, November timeframe of 2021. Then she said to me, working with her one-on-one is 6 months, and it's intensive working with her every 2 weeks on the phone, just going back and forth. And that was $75,000. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just said yes and committed to it. And a year later, or a little bit more than a year later, I have a business because of it. And I have speeches lined up every month for the foreseeable future, and and a keynote, and like all this content written and created that I wouldn't have had without working with her and making that commitment. So it is a commitment. And the thing that was popping to mind when Brian was talking was Rick Abiati. He was someone
Rick's in New Hampshire, just for context for everybody. Rick is a new high six. He's also a chairman's member now, which is the highest level. And he is right here in our backyard in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Nick. So
when Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but when Rick joined the community, I think he was, as soon as he got it, like Brian said, you did your research and you you checked into things and all the levels and the math and everything like that. As soon as you got it, you made the commitment to do high six. I think Rick was similar.
Rick started at starter, I think. And then
Was it starter or 90 day?
But maybe both. Maybe start
Wow.
90 day to starter for the listeners to understand. There is a progression, but some people skip it. And then Rick in April, I know the date, April of 22, I personally made a phone call and said, Rick, you're crushing it. I'd like to work with you and create a story. And he did, I think, 4 deals and 380 grand worth of 3 paydays in, I don't know, this first 6 months, 9 months, probably. It was crazy. So
Yeah.
yes, Rick, Nick, he figured out engage and boom.
Yeah. I just thought that was important to mention.
Yeah. And I want to say something, 'cause I was going to bring it up later. So let's do it now. So I don't know if the
Let's do it. Let's do it, Dad. Let's do
on
it.
And Brian might have a comment on this, but Nick did not Nick came to me when his decision was done. Okay. And it was, I'm committing to doing this. And I'm also going to commute on a train to New York to do it. And oh, by the way, I'm going to upgrade to this private coach's other level. And so no looking back, burn bridges and go. And what's I think as important, Nick, as you said, you didn't have the resources unless you want to strip all your investments that are out there somewhere. That would have been stupid. So instead you went to the same funding source that we tell all the people to go to. And I forget which one you used, but which one was it? You used one of them.
Ease
funding.
And
That's
it was very easy.
It's on our resource section of our website, you guys, if you want to do that. But let me give Nick
Brian's shaking his head.
Well, for those of you that are on the audio, you need to probably go watch this video. As far as the playlist, I think it'll be under either the podcast itself, because we have it, or Motivational Mondays. Nick, let's do this while you're at it. You built a business. Could you please give everybody your website? They can go there and get some free info and know more. And so we can pivot back to Brian on this show. What's the website, please?
Sure. The company's name is Common Goal, and the website is nickprefontaine.com, just my name, nickprefontaine.com. And they're going to be able to check out everything that I have going on and sign up for a free ebook called Step, which is going to help them lead them through their life crisis or trauma or challenge and lead them through to the other side.
Well, I'll have you know, Nick, Brian will remember this, and this is a compliment to you, and I didn't tell you this. This ties into how we help associates, like Brian said, not just do deals. You did a keynote speech at QLS Live 22. Those of you listening can get that in the academy. Just go listen to Nick's speech. It's worth the whole academy. But Nick, on our mastermind the other day for High Six, I said, please, instead of a positive focus today to start our meeting, give me one word that gets you going about 23, that describes what you're doing in 23. And one of the individuals, and we won't use his name publicly, said, my word is step. And in the High Six channel referenced your program. So super cool. I'll tell you who that is later so you can reach out to him, actually, because he could use your help. Brian, awesome. What you say about all that? Any comments?
I mean, the step system, I've gone through it. I love it. Nick's great. And I've had him on my show. He's been on both podcasts, actually. But, one of the notes I wrote down before we started recording is, and I'll tell a little bit of a mini story here, because I've been at this for a little over 3 years now. And for those of you that don't know my story, I was in corporate for 25 years, same company for 17 years, selling elevators. 5 years ago, maybe 4 to 5 years ago, I was convinced that I was going to sell elevators until I was 62, and then I would retire. And I was completely fine with making a couple $100,000 a year and building up my 401k. And, 62, I'm done. And I don't know, I'd be on a beach somewhere. I mean, I was convinced that was my life. And it was mainly because I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I was capable of owning my own business, of breaking out of the W-2. And, now I'm sitting here talking to you fast forward 3 years later, I'm on your show, I'm coaching with you, I've left my job, I have a podcast, I'm building another business with my wife. It's just stuff that you don't give yourself, number one, the space to even think about, right? Like I had dreamed about stuff like this, but you never really allow yourself to go there. And to go from that point of 3 to 5 years ago, where I just was convinced I was going to stay in W-2, It was just taking one step. And that's why I love Nick's system. It was just like, I took one step, and then you just got to keep doing that. It's not rocket science. I talk about it all the time. There's the difference between me and the Brian from 3 to 5 years ago. It's a few things. It really is a few things. You just have to keep taking those steps, and you have to keep going. And then in a short amount of time, your life can change in a big way. And then if you even give yourself a larger, runway, 7 to 10 years, your life is going to change in an enormous way if you just keep taking the next step.
Yeah, I love it. And you
So
and Nick both. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say, we keep teasing it, but do you mind if I give the acronym? STEP is an acronym.
Give the acronym, and then they can go to the site and get more.
Yeah, it's all right. So STEP is an acronym. Support. Make sure you have the support of your family and friends lined up right from the start of whatever it is that you're going through. This will allow you to focus so much of your wasted energy on accomplishing your objective. And then T is trust. Trust that the next step will make itself available to you once you take your first step. And also, you want to trust this calling inside of you. There's a reason that you have it, and make sure you're following it. E in the STEP system is energy. You want to make sure that you have your energy, because in order to influence and support other people and accomplish your dreams, you're going to have to make sure that you have your energy. Then P is persistence. Once you take your first step, keep getting up every day and taking your next step. That's like a 10,000 foot view. And to get the STEP system, download the STEP system, you can go to nickprefontaine.com/step and get started on your first step today.
Cool. And you're going to see how and why you can help that person on the High Six channel, Nick. Brian, you obviously gave a mini story of your story, right? Two or three things I wrote down while you were talking. One is, I want to make sure, so I don't have a brain fart and forget at the end of the show. Please tell them, we mentioned your podcast, but please tell them, or I'll give the link and you can tell them about it. smartrealestatecoach.com/W2. Go check out Brian's info, because he's changing lives. I'll have him comment on that, as we are. Our mission, as I said, I believe I said it in the intro at least once, is transforming lives. It's kind of a big statement. And then Brian's mission is to help a micro in that, which is getting people out of the W2. So Brian, comment about your podcast and your mission there. And then I want to actually tell you how what you said earlier is what Elon Musk says. And you're probably not sure which comment you made, but go ahead, talk about your podcast.
I can't wait to hear that. So yeah, the podcast, by the way, I never thought I would have a podcast, honestly. I love doing it. The W2 Prison Break Show. The mission of the show is to educate and inspire 1 million people to leave their W2 if they want to, and start the business of their dreams by the end of 2026. So it's a big ask, but I'm all in on it. And it's something that gets me out of bed in the morning. I just love doing it. The show is really dedicated to, because I was in this stuck phase for a long time, right? And I didn't know what my first step was, right? And I thought I was going to be there forever. And I know there's a lot of people listening out there that might feel similarly. It's what do I do? I have these dreams. I have these goals. I know there's something more for me. I feel myself getting pulled in a direction. I just don't know what to do next. So it can be overwhelming for people. And as a result of that feeling of being overwhelmed and the fear of change is huge for a lot of people. We were talking about this with Peter Taunton on our mastermind this week, High Six Mastermind. That can get you to the point where you're so scared of the unknown, you'll just stay in this situation that you don't like, even because it's predictable, because you know what you're getting, you know the result, versus, hey, I know the grass is greener on the other side. It looks pretty bright, but I don't know what's over there. I'm not sure what's over there. So I'm just going to stay over here. This is why people stay married. This is why people don't get divorced. They stay married for years and years and years, because it's predictable. So we have to get out of this unstuck phase and get to the first step. And that's what we're really trying to help people do, is to get to the first step. And then we'll just continue, to transform them so they can get to the point where, hey, I'm ready to be a business owner. I'm ready to be a real estate investor. Like, I'm all in on this.
So I'm listening to you going, all right, people could actually meet you guys. I'm saying you two, and forget the whole community for a minute. They can meet the two of you. have a coffee, a lunch, or one of the breaks at the upcoming summit, which is 2 weeks from today's release date. 2 weeks. It's so they can meet with you, Brian, about that whole thing, and then Nick can help them with the transition. It's a no-brainer. And frankly, Wicked Smart listeners, you can't get the coaching privately of, let's say, Brian and Nick. You can't get the coaching privately of the speakers we're going to have, Jordan Montgomery and other amazing speakers you just can't. But you can hang out with them at our VIP day. You can hang out with them at our VIP night. You can hang out with them during the event. I know it's in 2 weeks, but I want to help you guys get that ticket for 50% off. I say it in the intro, in the ending of the show. So grab your 50% off ticket and then come meet Brian and Nick and all the amazing coaches and the students and people just like you. But I want you to meet Nick and Brian. Brian, what you said earlier, I think I'm going to paraphrase, but I was watching an Elon Musk video. I love his stuff. And they're usually quick snippets about his thoughts. One was he absolutely does not believe in sort of a micro business plan. He believes in the big mission, like the big picture out there. And then he'll figure out and navigate along the way. And you kind of did that with your W-2. You said, I didn't have a set thing. I didn't know how many deals I was going to do. I'm just doing it somehow. So it reminded me of the video anyway. So you are Brian Elon Musk O'Brien. All right. O'Neill.
Wow,
O'Brien.
That was a reach.
All right.
Nice.
So that was awesome. And then you guys, anything else that I didn't ask you want to kind of add here? It could be about something each of you said or you forgot to say, or about the event, or all the above. Either
Yeah,
one.
we can come up with a better hyphenated name, I think.
For Brian, we will.
Yeah.
We will. How about Brian Musk O'Neill?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I like that.
There you go.
I don't know. But
Well,
hey,
Brian,
I've
you
got
have a
one
chance to
Nick.
comment and trump whatever he just said. So what are your thoughts as we wrap up here? And then we'll call it a day and we'll see the Wicked Smart listeners at the event.
I mean, I'm happy to be in the same sentence as Elon Musk, but look, the event, the room matters. Okay. I was in the wrong room for most of my life. I was in the wrong room. Right. And I was content with being in the room because I was at the top of that room. So you have to make sure that you're surrounded by the right people. You know, if you're around a bunch of people who are telling you that leaving your W-2 is risky or starting your own business is risky, well, guess what? You're just validating your beliefs. That's what you're doing. You already
Confirmation
believe
bias,
that. You're
right?
hanging around people exactly. So get in a different room. And when you get around people who are supportive of you, you're going to start to change the way you think and see other people do it. It's just going to change your mindset. So get in the right room. I always talk about that. That was my biggest problem. Once I got in the right room, things started to change for me, and it started to change very quickly.
Love it. Love it.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't have my thoughts are similar, Brian, with in the same room, because if you look around and you're like the go-to person, or you're at the top, you gotta, at that point, that's when you know that you have to look to other rooms, other circles where you're learning, you're continually learning, learning and growing. Because without that, life just becomes, I don't know, the word that's coming to mind is pointless. You have to be continually striving to get better. And you only do that by surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, to learn from them and grow and to reach up to their level. It's
Absolutely.
a never ending journey. But it's fun. It's very fun if you treat it like that.
Love it. So nickprefontaine.com, smartrealestatecoach.com/W2, camp out and listen to Brian's podcast, and also come see us at the event so you can camp out with Brian and Nick. If you only came to meet that duo there and you had coffee with them, it's worth your travel to and from Rhode Island. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks at the Wicked Smart Summit. Brian and Nick, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.